You're done.
Yeah.
Get her done.
Get it done.
Get
Greatest
her
pickup
done.
line ever. Let's get it done.
Oh, no. I was like, yep, there's the editing point. And then I'm like, oh no, I
Gotta find another one.
I gotta find another editing point. No, stop it. The intro music is already going. This is our point.
Point of no return.
Oh god, and with that, welcome ladies and gentlemen to episode number 40 of the Board Game Gateway podcast. My name is Neeber and I'm your host for this evening, and I'm joined by three lovely gentlemen around the table. We have Mr. Matt,
Hello.
we have Mr. Blayke,
Howdy.
and we have Mr. Damien.
Hi.
And this is the first time that you
Come
are...
on, we changed ours and you didn't change yours.
Well, he said lovely gentleman, but I didn't think he meant you, man.
Oh,
Whoa. Well, we just started the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
It is the naughty 40, so
This is the first time that you're listening to the Board Game Gateway podcast. We are your entryway into the world of board gaming and fun times. And look, we are going to be having a chat tonight about a couple of things. Our Gateway Game of the Week this week is Decrypto. We'll be getting back. We'll be talking about that. We're going to be having a quick chat about a game called Innovation, and we're a little bit of review on Blood on the Clocktower night that I went to on the weekend. But primarily, we're going to be having a debrief about GooberCon 2023, and we'll have a chat about what that is towards the end of the podcast. Basically, a little game day that I had here. So if you're wondering, should I stick around? Absolutely, because we've got some great stories from that day, which you're going to want to hear. But before we get to that, let's go into what we've been playing over the week. This week, we're going to start with you, Damo. You've brought a little brown box. You've put it in front of you, and tell us about Innovation.
Okay, so been a while since I've been on the podcast. Been a while since we've put one out. So
It has been.
Many games have been played, but probably the highlight, well, one of the highlights is Innovation. So what Innovation is, it is nothing more than a card game. And
You love your card games.
I love my card games. This one's a bit different. This one is not a trick taker. It's not a set collector per se, but it's actually a tableau builder,
Right.
or an engine builder, where you have these cards. They are numbered from 1.
seeing my language there. I like engine builders.
I like engine builders.
A tableau builder, for those of you if you aren't aware, is basically cards that you play in front of you, and those cards can do different effects and have different things depending on how they're played or where they're played in front of you.
What this game is, look, the theme is super painted on, but it's a civ game. Okay,
Yeah, it is.
So what it is that you are building up your civilization, and you are doing that by drawing cards. So you take 2 actions every single turn. You can draw a card, or you can trigger the action on one of the cards that you have on top in front of you. You can have up to 5 different cards in front of you, 1 per color. And what you do is, like I said, you can draw a card and then you play it, and you play it onto your board. In either, if you don't have that color already on your board, you play it straight down. It's the first card of that color, or you play it on top of a matching color. What that means is, from now on, if you want to use that, use that card or that color card's ability, you can only use the top
Top one.
That's right. And the goal of the game is to do one of 2 things. You either want to get to be the first to get to 6 points, or rather 6 achievements, it's called, or you want to try and draw a level 10 card or higher when there isn't one there. Okay, so the cards go from 1 all the way up to 10.
10 different ages, if you will, of your civilization.
That's right.
Starting all the way back in the Stone Age is age 1, and then age 2 is now a bit more powerful, and then we get to the medieval and period 4 and so on and so forth.
The coolest thing about the card, though, is about each of the cards, that each of the cards will have 3 important symbols on them. So this one's got 2 light bulbs and a crown. They are the symbols that represent whether or not you are able to take the action in front of you. You have 2 types of actions. You have actions that only affect you, or actions that can be used by anyone on the table. Regardless, if you are going to use one of those actions, you need to have the most number of those symbols in your tableau in front of you. If you don't, you cannot use that action. So that brings in this element of blocking, where if you're playing against someone and you see they're going heavy, let's say they're going heavy into crowns, you might start collecting cards that have crowns to prevent, or you might start playing cards that have crowns on them.
So the total amount of crowns just in one color, or is it across the board?
Across the board.
Right.
Okay. And then there'll be certain symbols that only start to appear in certain ages. So, for instance, I'm pretty sure the factory symbol only starts to appear in age 4 or 5.
Yep.
The symbol with the clock on it only starts to appear in age 8, if I remember right.
Yeah, because we didn't have time until
Until it was invented.
Yeah.
until it was invented. But you know what? Those factory
After
workers-
factories.
after
Factories came first,
That's
then
right.
time.
That's
right.
right.
How will they know when to go home?
They all know.
They don't. But the
Shut up.
the coolest thing about the card, though, is that, like I said, you are playing cards and then you're playing additional cards of the same color on top. So does that mean that the cards underneath are useless? No, because some of the actions on the cards will say, as a side effect, you get to splay the cards, and it will tell you which direction, whether you're splaying them left, right, or up.
Showing more symbols.
That's
different
right.
symbols, etc.
And I don't know if this is going to come out on the camera, but essentially splaying up is really what you want, because splaying any other direction means you only get one additional symbol per card. Splaying up, though, means you get 2 additional symbols. Again, increasing the number of symbols you have of different categories. It's a fantastic game. It is super weird. There are cards in this game that will break situations. So, for instance, there's one card called the calendar, and it says if you have more cards in your score pile. So, when I was saying before about score and I changed it to achievements, it's because your score pile and your achievement pile are different. So you take cards to fill up your score pile, and then for every 6 points you have in card value, you can then claim 1 achievement.
Right.
So, and the card value is literally the current number on the card. So age 1 cards are worth 1 point each.
So you can have 6 age 1 cards to get towards
Exactly right. But the calendar effect, and this is just one example, it states that it's the number of cards, not the point value of the cards. So it's entirely common to have someone who knows the game. They will play calendar on an empty hand, but have a massive number of 1s and 2s sitting in their score pile. And by playing that, you get to draw. Every time you activate it, you get to draw 2 cards of level 4 type, which is higher than calendar, if you have fewer cards in your hand than you do in your score pile.
Right.
It is incredibly powerful.
Right.
That's just one example. There are a ton of cards in here that are just absolutely broken. It adds to it honestly, it just really adds to the game.
Yeah.
No game, I have not played 2 games of this that has been the same. It is a ton of fun, and
It's very unique. It is a very unique sort of card game.
the only card game that I've played, and I've been lucky enough to play it, it's actually by the same designer. So, Carl Chudyk, yes, is his name. He invented another game called Glory to Rome, Glory to Rome.
You got there eventually.
Yes, sorry, took a while, but essentially, it's a game that has been tied up in nothing but licensing issues and such.
Oh, I've heard about this one. Yeah.
When it came out, it did extremely well. But again, it's in a similar vein where it's a tableau builder. You're adding cards to your tableau and you're doing weird things. He definitely has
weird and crazy things.
Honestly, yeah. Look, innovation's great. It's definitely one of those games that it is polarizing. I've played it with people who just hate it. They bounced off it hard.
Yep.
I
can see why when I've played it too.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and again, the splaying and the iconography is kind of a bit weird. It's very, I don't want to say jarring, but it is kind of unique. It's just like here's a purple card with some squares and some yellow symbols on it. You just like, it's like your mind is like going, oh my god, the colors just make no sense. But then all of a sudden, when you start playing, you're like, oh no, that does actually make 100% sense.
Yeah,
It's really good.
And I think the worst part about all that is that they use weird words. So instead of like instead of private action, they'll say dogma, and it's like, what?
Instead of shift left, they use splay,
Display.
which is one of the main things. Can I also say, look at that box, right? It is the most beige brown box ever. Like,
Yeah,
literally, it's this.
But it won the Golden Geek Award in like 13 years ago.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Don't get me wrong, it's a great game, but like it doesn't do itself any favors for presentation wise. It's
but
just
I am glad you
very-
brought that up, Nee, because at the time of recording, in like 5 hours, there is an Ultimate Edition
Yes.
about to appear on Backer Kit. Am I backing it? Yes.
it looks nice. I saw it.
Does
too.
look. It is. They have fixed up the
Yeah.
artwork.
Added some blue.
It literally does. Actually, the age 11 cards are dark blue.
Oh,
There you go.
So
Insider info.
So look, Innovation's a great game. It's like a $30 box if you just want to get the base. I would strongly recommend. It's a big recommend for me. Again, I've said it before. I love it. I will say it says it plays up to 4. Don't play it at 2.
You
Dad.
can play it at 3. 3's okay.
Yeah, the problem is that it suffers from the same issue that all tableau builders have, or all complex tableau builders have, is that you got to worry about your own tableau
And then
everyone else's tableau at the same time, and it
It's
can just be really
overwhelming.
slow. And the thing is, because here you have to count the number of symbols every time someone takes an action. You've got to
Recount.
You got potentially up to 3 other people recounting all their symbols, and they're going, no, you can't take that action because I dominate that
Right.
symbol.
Right.
In saying that though, Board Game Arena has a great implementation of the game. But yeah, again, $30 typically it's on Amazon. It's hard to find in the stores here in Australia, but Amazon almost always has a copy available. Check it out. Innovation. It's really good.
It's really good. I will say I really enjoyed my play of it that I've played with it. I want to play it more because it is so unique and has this really cool like action space to it. So I want to try it more. But that was Innovation. So if you want to check that out, head on over to the Board Game Geek page and have a look at it. I would like to just have a quick chat about, I know we've talked about it quite a few times, but on the weekend I got to go to a Blood on the Clocktower evening, our monthly meetup hosted by our one and only Mr. Ralph, who's not here tonight, obviously. But we did a few, there were actually about 30 people who rocked up. We played actually 3 different games going on at any one time. We had we had one group that was just playing the basic Trouble Brewing script, and we're actually going to have a chat about that later as well in the GooberCon. But the reason why I bring it up now is because I want to say I tried out one of these custom scripts called the Boozling, and it was a really fun, weird kind of script. Like, for those of you who don't know, Blood on the Clocktower is essentially a werewolf demon mafia sort of a spawn copy, but it's really good. The powers are really good. You have to have a game master who runs the game for you. There's no app or anything like that. But everyone gets a power. So, sometimes when you play a game of werewolf and you're just a plain old villager and you're like, ugh, this is going to be, I'm just like, I've got nothing to do. But in this one, Boozling, it was a really fun one. There's just a custom mix of these characters and things like that, to the point where I felt like, I was like, oh my God, there are some weird mechanics going on here. So it introduces, and this is in some of the complex scripts, where they introduce madness into this script, which basically means that if you become mad, you have to now, the game master will say, all right, Matt, you're mad about the Raven's Keeper. So what does that mean? It means that for this entirety of the round, you have to get people to believe that you're the Raven's Keeper. Even if you're not, you have to make people believe you're the Raven's Keeper. Even if you're not successful, it's fine. But they don't need to believe you, but you need to spend the entirety of the turn claiming you're the Raven's Keeper. And if the game master hears you not trying to make people believe that you're the Raven's Keeper, you die. You just die, right? The game master goes, you're not...
I wish we had played that one. I would have loved that.
Oh, it was hilarious, right? So, but it does bring in some really complex kind of situations where you'll have someone, like there's a character called the Pixie, and the Pixie's ability says, if you claim to be mad about a particular role, right? Take any of the roles in the script that we currently have. You could be the Raven's Keeper, you could be the cleric, you could be the whatever you want to be. You claim that you're mad for that role for the entirety of the game. If that person is actually in the game and they die, you now just get their power. So the Pixie can just sit there for the whole... Go, I'm the balloonist. Yeah, and this is what I've seen. Even though they're going to be bullshitting the entirety of the time, and then the balloonist gets executed, the Pixie now becomes the balloonist for the rest of the game and actually gets the power. So, is this person a pixie pretending to be the balloonist? Or, like I was, for example, I was the demon. I was playing the role called the damsel. Sorry, I was the damsel. And the damsel is the damsel in distress. The damsel is an outsider who basically, if the minions can find out that they're who the damsel is, once per game they can say, I'm a minion, Blayke is the damsel. And if they're correct, then the minions and the evil team just win.
Just win straight
They
away.
just win straight away.
Wow.
So the damsel wants to keep hidden, right? However, there is a huntsman out there, and if the huntsman can say, I'm the huntsman and you're the damsel, congratulations, you now become a random townsfolk. So you're trying to find the huntsman. But my smart ass decided, well, I don't want to be the damsel. I'm going to pretend to be a pixie pretending to be a balloonist. And it was literally, my mind was going, what am I doing on a Saturday
You're
night?
the dude pretending to be another dude who's pretending to be a dude.
I'm a dude playing a dude pretending to be another dude. That's exactly what it was, right? And it was one of those moments where I went, I get it. I get this game. I get why this game has such now a cult following as much as it does. Because you get to these moments where you're like, you can actually unpick what happened though. What was really frustrating about that particular game was the demon that we had was called the Fangu. And the Fangu basically says when you kill an outsider, the Fangu immediately dies and the outsider now becomes the demon. So I was the damsel pretending to be the pixie who was claiming to be the balloonist. And then I died and then I became the Fangu. So now I didn't want to be any of those things. And people went, well, I think this is what happened. And I went, crap! That's exactly what happened because like things matched up. And I'm sitting there going, you can hear it now, me talking about it going, this sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Yeah. And it was so much fun. And I can't wait for the next meetup.
The thing I love is that the game is based on townsfolk in a town called, obviously,
Ravenswood Bluff.
Bluff. It's a fictional town. The thing I like is that townsfolk have to gather. They all have an ability. We'll have an empath. We'll have a librarian. And then at what point does the townfolk turn around and go, you know what we need right here? A balloonist. Yes, we need a balloonist. We can't do this without the balloonist.
Give me the fisherman. I need the fisherman in here. That man has got some. He's got some stories to tell. But yeah, I just wanted to say, look, I just wanted to tell that story about that script because I thought it was ridiculous. I also did play a couple of others. I played one of the what's called the Sexts and Violence. Yeah, SECTS. And that one was a lot of fun as well. So I enjoyed that script. It wasn't as exciting as the Boozling one, so whatever. But we played 3 games over that night.
Probably a good thing we didn't play that one. I would have taken that to horrible places.
Just rocked.
I will say I do love the fact that every
would have
game,
ruined
though,
the entire family aroma of the evening.
I will say I do love the fact that every game of Blood on the Clocktower though does have to have a games master, and because that games master has, there are so many different cool abilities that you can have where it's like there's the the seer or the artist or someone who can once per round can just go up to the games master, and I've got this role completely wrong, but there's a role that says go up to the game master and he will give you 2 pieces of information, 1 false and 1 true.
Yeah.
And it's completely up to the game master what piece of information he gives you. If he thinks that you need some actual help, maybe he'll make it a bit easier. But if he thinks you guys are too close, he may just make it super cryptic. It's up to the game, or she for that matter. We actually had a couple of girls who were running game scripts and they were really good too. Shout out to Avery who ran the Boozling one. From the group, if he's listening to this, big shout out to Avery because he did a fantastic job. He did funny stuff where he'd like, he goes, all right, everyone shut your eyes, right? And we all go to sleep for the night. And he goes, all right, everyone open up your eyes. And then he was like lying down on the floor. God, like, and then we did the next night, and then he was behind someone. Right? It's just really fun. He made it a lot of fun for everyone. So just wanted to give a big shout out to him. All right, anyway, so let's move on to our featured topic of this week, which is we're going to have a bit of a debrief about GooberCon 2023. For those of you who've not listened to the podcast before, GooberCon is a game day that I hold every year for my friends and family here right in the studios in my house that we have here. And we open up our house at 9 o'clock in the morning. And what time do we end up finishing? Like midnight?
Just before midnight.
Just on midnight, I think. Yeah, so 15 hours worth of gaming. And as you can hear, these boys were here right until the end. So because it was a lot of fun. But basically, the day is designed as an excuse to get my friends and family in to play games, but also to get them to play games they may not have played. I really enjoyed it. I was legit proper. I had exhaustion the next day from that mental overload. My kids went, I don't care that we had a 15-hour day yesterday. We're up at 6 o'clock the next morning, and I was like, oh no. I woke up and I'm like, oh. So it was a lot of fun. But we're going to go through a couple of the games that we played and a couple of the stories, funny moments from it. But we're going to start with our gateway game of the week, because we played this game probably the most the entirety of the day, and we have to talk about it, which is the game that was released in 2018. It is Decrypto. And Decrypto, let's go through a very quick overview for it. So Decrypto is a team word guessing game. But what makes this word guessing game is that each team is given 4 words for the entirety of the game. So they may be words like sky, dragon, I don't know, airplane, skyscraper, right?
You've certainly got a theme there.
Fruit, right? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, right? They can just be 4 different
Sky, cloud, blue, and sky.
and sky. Anyway, but you're given 4 words, and the other team has 4 words that are kept hidden as well. One player on your team will become the code giver, and the rest of the team have to then guess the code. So rather than giving out, hey, I need you to guess, the fruit, sky, dragon, I will actually have each of those words will relate to a number, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I will then get a code, and that code just will be like 4, 3, 2, or 1, 2, 4, whatever. And I need to get my team to guess that number. I'm only allowed to use 1-word clues. That's how we play it anyway. I don't know if that's the official rules, but that's how we play it. And then once you say the words, they then need to then write it down in their notebook, try and make the word association, and then say out the number. Cool. Easy done. Other team does it. Cool. Right. Moving on to round 2. And this is where the game takes its turn and becomes my favorite word game, which is from the second round onwards. We play from the second round onwards anyway. The opposing team gets the first crack at the code. So no matter what words I'm starting to put out there, the other team will get a crack at the code. The game ends under 2 conditions. Either your team guesses your opponent's code twice, because they change every round, or your team fails to guess the code twice. So you can either be the winner or you can be the loser of the game. And that's what's really great about it. And so as we play more and more rounds, the words start stacking up and up and up, and the associations start to come there. So you have to be cryptic without being too cryptic, because, well, let's say, for example, if I had the code, blue, up, above, right? Maybe you start thinking, it's all got to do with sky or something related that, right? And so then we need to be cryptic about that. But if it is, we've got stories about this as well, which we'll tell. But if you're too cryptic about the words, your team will not be able to guess it. And remember, as I said, that if your team doesn't guess the code correctly twice, you lose the game. So you need to you're playing this very delicate balancing game. And that's it. The game just keeps going until one of those 2 things happens, and then you can just do it again. We played like 6 or 7 games.
Easily.
I love this game. It's, like I said, it's my favorite word guessing game. But I've talked about how this game plays enough. Gentlemen, please.
It's definitely straight away my favorite word guessing game.
Was this the first time you've played it?
It was the first time I played it. It just produced so many memorable moments. I played it once early in the morning and then again later on in the afternoon. I was so keen to play it again. It's just fantastic.
It produces so many stupid moments.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
It just leaves you looking at your teammates and the opposing team.
Yeah, you don't realize how far your brain can fall out of your ass until you're like the 4th clue giver on your team, and you go,
or you say a word out loud, and then you realize, well, I have to commit to that. Let's just hope that everyone else is on the same wavelength, because even I'm not on my own wavelength anymore.
And the thing is as well, once your team hits, you've got one of the black tokens, which is you failed to guess the code once, you're on a knife edge. So you're like, well, I can't be too cryptic because then we'll lose. But if I'm too obvious, they'll guess it. So what the hell do I do? I mean, so obviously, let's talk about some of the funny ones, right? Obviously, I'll start with my one, because my one was one of the stupid ones, right? We had the word, was fruit, was one of the words. And the clue that I gave in my head was, well, drag, right? Because drag queens, they're a little bit fruity, right? This is 9 o'clock after nearly 12 hours of gaming. And I'm like, as soon as I said it, I went, oh no, that's a few too many leaps for anyone to go towards, right? And sure enough, they didn't guess it. And then we had what the hell was that? And I said the thing, and what was your reaction?
My reaction was, if you instead of saying drag, if you said dragon, I would have gone, oh, it's fruit.
Dragon fruit.
And it's like,
but my mind did not even think of it. I'm like, I had like sitting there going,
Yeah, I can top that.
Yeah, please.
I'm sorry. I even thinking back on it now, I have no idea why I assumed anyone but myself would be able to decipher this. The clue was Quebec, and my clue was Titanic. And it was,
That's right.
It was, well, the theme song from Titanic is sung by Celine Dion, who's a French singer who I'm assuming lives in Quebec. I don't even know if she does. She probably doesn't. But like, really, I had no. And once again, as soon as I said it, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. This was 9 o'clock in the morning, so this was early. So that's why. That's my excuse.
That's a good one. I mean, one of the ones that was probably one of the most classic ones, which had to do with my dad in the morning. So shout out to my dad. I know he's listening to this on the bus. He says he puts it on the bus. So shout out to Picton.
Also, just for
busways, Picton buses.
Just for Bernie, the game we're talking about is Decrypto.
Yeah, my dad he also mentioned it. He goes, yeah, well, if you would say the name of the game like every 3 minutes.
Beep, beep. This is still Decrypto.
We are now talking about Decrypto. And I kind of was like, no, I don't think we'll be doing that. Anyway, but
we will now for the next 20 minutes.
Exactly right. Anyway, but one of his was my father-in-law, Chris. The word was jazz. And so, we had to try and get one of our 4 words was jazz. And so he gave his 2 clues, and then his third one was jats, like the biscuit, JATZ. And we're sitting there, and I was on Dad's team. We're sitting there going,
his clue was biscuit.
Yeah, it was biscuit.
Yeah.
That's right. It was. Sorry, it was biscuit. And we're sitting there going, biscuit.
And his clue was jazz.
Oh,
Wasn't it?
no.
What's the word you're trying to guess?
The word
he was trying to guess was jazz.
Oh,
and he
right.
And he gave
He
the
gave
clue
the-
biscuit,
oh.
right? And so we're all sitting there going,
what the?
What do you mean biscuit? Right? Well, I know. And then again, right, totally missed on the code. And then he goes, well, biscuit, like jazz. The jazz. And we just, and Dad, literally, jazz! What the F, right? He's just like, what the hell does that mean?
You know what? No one does incredulous looks like your dad
Oh
does.
my
That's
God.
for sure.
But it was that moment of like, then for the rest of the day, we're just like, jats, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Anyone want a handful of jazz biscuits?
Oh, classic, right? So, Decrypto, like, if
Hang on. Was there any others?
Oh yeah, was
Oh,
there?
no. What I was going to say is that
I do actually have one. I have one.
I had the exact opposite experience. So shout out to Hamish, because it turns out he and I are 100% on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
One of our clues was Einstein, and his word, and the word he gave out was triangle, and we had no idea until
Yeah, that's such a Hamish thing.
No, I worked it out. I said no, it's that one. And they go, why? I said because triangle. The shape QED, it's 3 dots, and if you line up the dots, it's the shape of a triangle. Only Hamish and I got that, and I was like, yes. And that is one thing that I love about the game.
It does make you feel smart.
So smart.
I was just assuming that he was just assuming Pythagoras.
I thought so too.
that would be more Hamish in my
Actually,
mind.
speaking of Hamish, he did do one as well later in the evening when we were outside and we're all, a few drinks in and whatnot. And one of the clues he said was red, right? And one of the things that we had was can, right? That was one of the can, right? That was one of our clues. Can was one of the clues we had to guess, and he said red. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell? For a good 30 seconds, we're all just deliberating, and I just went, oh my God, it's so simple. Because there were Coke cans on the table, and they were red. So he just went, red. There's a red can on the table. See, so he used, instead of like word association, he just picked it up off the table, and I went, makes perfect sense. So that was great. I will say though, there are times that it leads to absolute beauty, right? So my brother Nick, he came in and he came in a bit later. Like we'd been playing for a couple of hours, different games, and we had a game of Decrypto going. He goes, right, I'm in. Right. One of the things that we had was one of the words was again like skyscraper, and one of them was woman. Right. That was or female. One of those words. Right. So Nick literally comes in your first time. Yep, got this, boys. Word 1, word 2. Annoying, right? And we all went, right, we're all on the same page, right? And we goes, yep. And we're all like, because we're all married, like all four, or Nick's about to be anyway. And we're all like, yep, annoying, straight to female, right? And we're all like, yep. Like, and we all just burst into laughter. And my wife walks past, she goes, you guys are idiots. And we're like, yeah, we know, but that was still hilarious. But it was like that moment of like, when you find that, it actually, one of the things I love about the game is without actually talking amongst your team, someone will say a clue, and that clue then all becomes the theme for the rest of your cryptic clues going forward, which is that you go, oh, all right, that's the angle we're taking with this word from this point onwards. Great, let's go.
It almost has like this kind of catch on to code names in that it's actually a trap to do that. Like, you should try and take a different tact with your next batch of clues because it starts to give away the game as to what your code words are.
Yeah.
But it's so easy a trap to fall in. Well, they didn't get it last time, so I'll give them a little extra hint in that same vein this time, and let's hope for the best. But really, you should every time just take a different tact and hope for the best.
We do add in a house rule, which is that if you are on the losing team, you get one Hail Mary shot to win the game, which is... you are then allowed one shot at trying to guess all 4 of the words that your opponent has. So, it's never actually...
We ever seen... I don't think we've ever seen that pay off.
I got 3 out of the 4. When we were doing one of the games, I got 3 out of the 4 because they were like, oh my God. And then the 4th one was complete total guess. It hasn't happened, but like, if the game goes long
one day
enough,
it will, and then we'll never have to play it again.
No, but if it goes long enough, the amount of clues that you can get are really, can be really good. I mean, and it does allow like... So one of the rules that the game does say is that you have to have open information, right? So I can't have an in-joke between us so the enemy can never get that information. But I can say, the 16th century emperor of France, right? And if you know, it's like Napoleon, or I don't know if that's the 16th, but whatever. If you know that, that's fine because that's open information to the world. But I can't say what we had at dinner on Thursday. It was only me and you there and no one else was there. You can't use in-jokes. So what that means is you can get some really super sneaky plays, which we played this ages ago, and my dad and his brother, twin brother, which is your dad, Matt, Greg, they had a word which is like computer, and Dad used this word called Forbin, right? And me and Matt were on the other side going, what the hell does Forbin mean? We didn't know, but Dad and Greg knew that there was a movie from the 1970s called The Forbin Project that had to do with 2 supercomputers taking over the world, one from the US and one from the Russian, right? And that's fine because it's all open. It's like we didn't know about.
I reckon it's not.
I reckon that's 100% in joke because I reckon only the 2 of them have ever seen that.
Maybe, right? And you hear that, Bernie? When we're talking about
you know what?
crypto,
I've only ever heard about this movie every time Decrypto comes up as well. Like, I can't find it online. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I tell you what, and I think that is a fantastic rule, which really, brings the game forward. I was playing with a few others. Trap words a little later on in the day, a different kind of word guessing game, and it doesn't have such a rule in the game. And there was one word where they were trying to guess accountant. Now in trap words you're allowed to set up trap words which if the other team uses those words to in their clue giving, then they automatically lose that round. So the word was accountant, so we're using things like numbers and year for end of financial year, tax, these sort of common words. And then all of a sudden he comes out and just goes, your father recently retired from this job. It was just accountant straight away. And we had no way of knowing that he was an accountant or anything. It just sort of not that it took away from them. They did it good. It just sort of took the wind out of the game.
Out of the game from that point. Yeah, and I do love trap words for those things, but again, I think trap words works much better with a lot of people because then you're like, yeah, we're gonna do 8 trap words and 9 trap words, and you can't really do a lot of in jokes with that kind of stuff. But I do agree, like Decrypto specifically calls out that it specifically says, "Nah, don't do it." But again, it's the tension of the fact that the other team gets to crack at it first.
Yes.
So you get to sit there and it's like the other team goes, "We're gonna have a stab at 1, 4, 2," and everyone goes, "Wrong! 3, 2, 1." Yep. Freaking idiots. Of course it was 3, 2, 1. And we're moving on to the next thing, right? And like, so there's a lot of this, you guys get it. But the moment that, like, if they guess wrong,
way too
and then
much of that.
you guess wrong, the enemy team goes, "You were idiots," right? Or you just watch the clue giver go, "Oh no."
Actually, it's after the clue giver's finished his third clue, and then sits back and sees them automatically go in the wrong direction. Like, you see it on their face, like, "Oh fuck." Fuck, this whole thing has gone down the toilet.
I will say the biggest thing for me was that because I went first in the first game, which meant I was going 5th when it came back around, and that was frightening. That's when I'm staring at this sheet going, "What do I do? Like, what do I say?"
Oh, that's right. The other thing that they actually have as well is they have a timer.
Yeah.
They have a little sand timer, and the rules do state that if you think they're taking too long, you can flip the timer on them and literally call a clock and go, "You've got a minute to get your clue out. You can't just sit there." And I love that because, granted,
I love it that it's not like automatic.
Yeah.
Like that it is at the disposal of the opposition.
We'll
to
give
say,
you a little bit of
let's see how you go
except
with
then
this one.
we had hate flipping, which is
Yeah.
how you called it earlier on us. Therefore, right, no time. Fucking bang, there you go.
Spite time.
But then I had your dad hate flipping on his own team. You're taking it. Like, come on.
Like if you can't tell, like
Jazz boy.
we cannot recommend this game highly enough. It is my favorite word guessing game. I think it's probably I think around the table it provides such a really fun time, both highs and lows. So I cannot recommend.
It's also a really good game to observe as well.
I love observing this game. You can just sit back and watch them and go, "Oh, they're struggling."
Yeah.
Or what clue was that?
Yeah, like it can feel a little disjointed for new players because you're not guessing the words, you're guessing the code. But once you come to terms with that, and honestly, you pick it up after the first round.
Yeah.
It runs. It is smooth as silk. It runs so well, and it's just a bunch of laughs.
To add to that, this is the perfect game where you can go, "What are you playing? Sit down. You're on my team. Let's go."
Yeah, that's
right?
it. Yeah,
you don't
it's
even
great
need to
for that.
explain the rules to anyone before you start. You say, "Sit down." And he goes, "All right, he's going to say some words. We just need to make the association, and you tell me what number, and then we'll write a code down." And that's what I love about it. It's like we had so many times where people come up and go, "What are you playing?" It's like, "Decrypto, sit down. You're playing." And I would stand up and play with them, but then leave and come back, and they were still playing with a whole bunch of randoms.
I will say, like, I know my larger family, we will get together as a big group after dinner, and we will play a game like Taboo. This game is better than that, and it could slide in just as easily because it has similar premise. Once you get past the whole, it's not a card of words that you can't use. It is a your team has to guess a series of numbers, and that's it. Once you get over that hump, and it is a tiny, tiny hump, it is so much better, and it produces so many more laughs. It really does.
Yep, absolutely. So that was our gateway game of the week, which is Decrypto, and that was, of course, when we played so much of it at GooberCon in 2023. There were some other games that we played a lot of. We got Ra to the table again, which was great. That was a lot of fun. We played a 5-player game of Ra and got that. I got absolutely decimated.
So did
Bloody
I.
Sean, one of our friends, Sean, just absolutely, just wiped the floor with us. I don't even know how. He seemed like he wasn't even paying attention for most of the game, which was good. But the other one that I think was a real big hit was the game of Perudo. That one was
the dice?
Was the dice game.
I won that one.
Yeah,
Woo!
It was a great game. So for those of you who've never heard of Perudo, if you've ever watched the Pirates of the Caribbean movie trilogy, in number 2, it's the dice game that they play on the ship. That what's the Davy Jones on Davy Jones's ship? They play the game, and the way that it works is everyone starts with 5 dice. We all roll our dice, and then from there, everyone looks at their own cup, keeping your dice hidden, and then you have to keep increasing the bid from that point onwards. So there is a wild suit. Ones, I believe, were wilds, and you have to then continually upping the bid. So I can say there's 3 2s. Matt could up it to 3 3s. That would be more than 3 2s. But I could also go, I think there's 4 2s, and then I can up the number. I can also call, there are wilds out there. So the ones are wild. So, if I say 4 twos and we have 5 players, there's 25 dice out there. So maybe there's a chance with the wilds. Or I can call out the wilds and say, you know what? There's actually only 4 ones out there. And the thing about wilds is that their value is double. So if I say 4 ones, the next call up has to be 9 twos. So you have to, because 4 times 2 is 8. So therefore the next one up would be 9 or something. And so you get these I didn't play it, but I have played it. My friend Tim, who came up from Wollongong, Matt's friend Tim as well, we played this ages ago. And this game got around the table, Matt, and it got to the point where you guys went, "Do you got more dice?" And we went, "Yeah." And he just went,
there's no reason why we can't play this with 15 people, right? No. All right, just means we've got 45 dice on the table. Okay, cool, no problem.
But it worked really well.
Yeah, it actually was really
we had
good.
Your mum playing. I believe your mum playing or my mum playing.
My mum.
Yeah, your mum was playing. My mum was playing. And literally, this is again a game that people can pick up.
Kicked their ass. That's what happened.
Very quickly, because at some point it's just complete bullcrap, right? You're looking at your dice, going, "Well, I've got 4." 4 of a kind 4s, right? Cool, that's great. But there's still, when you played with 10 other players, 35 dice out there. So however many 4s do you reckon there could be? Oh, maybe there's, all right, you know what? It's funny how everyone goes, there could be 8 4s out there. But the moment that someone goes 9 4s, frick off, mate, you wish no.
I think it was literally 60 dice in that first round. So, the first call was 4 3s. You're like, oh, come on. 16 2s. It just immediately jumped up.
So Perudo is a really fun dice bluffing game. It doesn't really have a lot of quote unquote skill, but it provides a crap ton of fun moments, and that was a really fun because
it's a fast moving game. And it was a lot of fun, especially even with a lot of players, which I thought it slowed the game down a little bit because it takes a while to come back to you, but you're still watching the interactions, and everyone's having a jolly good time. It'll be a good drinking game, I think.
Every time you're wrong, you lose a dice. So that's you're out of the game and you have no more dice to be able to bid with or anything like that. So there's all that.
We thought at the end we would just change it if you had more than 10 players to maybe just 3 dice each or something, just to speed the game up.
Yeah. That could work.
But it was a lot of fun, that one.
Yeah.
And once again, easy to learn, easy for people to come in and see what's going on. Once again, another great one to just stand around and watch. You didn't have to play, and you were still having a bit of fun. So, yeah, I'd get that out any day of the week.
Yeah. And the other one that we did play before we get to the final, before we get to the closing of the night, was we actually had the Crocodile World Championships, as we like to call it. Ralph and Damien brought their boards over, and we had 2 boards going, and we had 30 people. We actually had 60 people through the doors, and of those 60 people, 30 of us played in a single knockout tournament, first to 100, and then you had to fight your way through all the way up to the grand final, which came down to my friend Tim and Matt's brother-in-law Nathan, and Nathan, steady hand Nathan, just dominated throughout the entire competition. That was a lot of fun too. That was over about 3 hours. We started that at about 2:30ish, 3 o'clock, and it ran just until after dinner, and then we were kind of done. It took about 3 hours to get through the whole competition. I really enjoyed it. Last year we did Battleship, which is Ralph's wife Tina won the Battleship World Tournament last year, and this year Nathan took out the Crocodile World Championship. I love that game. It's just it's still one of the best gateway games. I know we've
once again another great observational game as well. There were crowds around every round, just having a gander.
Yeah, I put it on the center table in the living room, so that meant that everyone through the center walkway, there were always games in that tournament going. Our little kids, all of our kids loved it. You've got
Robbie was so disappointed he didn't win. Oh. he was really devastated. The poor kid.
But they also played a few games to start with. Look, and there were
what other games did we get out? I got Ganshon Clever out.
Katie brought Herd Mentality.
Herd Mentality was fun.
Which is
I got to play that one.
Herd Mentality is just a very simple party game where someone asks a question. So, what's the best sort of biscuit? And then we all have to write down.
You want to be in the majority.
And you want to be in the majority. You do not want to be the one who has
that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's so much fun, right?
It was.
It's just so stupid. Another one where you're looking around going, really? What?
I bring that up because when we played this at a local pub actually before GooberCon, and I bring up that because that was the exact question that was asked. And I went, oh, well, obviously the best biscuit is Oreo, but the
Tim Tam. It's Tim Tam.
That's what everyone wrote, right? Yeah. But that's because I I've been eating a crap ton of Oreos lately, so my mind wrote it down when they went Tim Tam. I went, oh no, it's gonna be Tim Tam. Sure enough.
I lost one of the rounds. So basically, the way the game works is that if you are in the sole minority, you then end up having to take the cow, and you can't score any points, and you can't win. Sorry,
you can't. Yeah, you
So
can score points,
but you
but
can't
if
win.
you get to the scoring, if you get to 8 points, which is what you need to win, you've got the cow in front of you.
And-
you don't
and the-
win. So you've got to try and be in the minority. Sorry, in the majority when someone is in the super minority, which means they're the only person in the minority.
Yeah.
And I got it on the question was, what is the best room in the house? And the options were bedroom, kitchen, living room. Everyone else said bedroom.
Yeah, bedroom, mate.
I said kitchen.
Kitchen.
It's where the food is.
Yeah,
That's not where the fun is.
Where the food is. And it's like,
you can have fun in the kitchen.
yeah, you can. But that's where the food is. And you go, well,
Filthy people.
yes.
But anyway, but that was a great game because that again was a game we could put out in the backyard. So one of the things I did this year was that we bought a couple new outdoor furniture settings. So last year we had one octagon table, and this year we had 2 just rectangle ones, and I bought a patio heater as well. So because we're in the middle of winter here, it means that we could turn the patio heater on, just a gas heater, and it kept that whole outdoor area warm all night, which is great. So
What else we play with? I know the kids got secondhand wombat or whatever it is.
yeah, hand-to-hand
Hand-to-hand wombat.
classic.
And Coup came out.
I'm so disappointed I missed out
Yeah,
on
we got a
Coup.
few games of
But there was another card game we played at the back. What was it?
Cockroach Poker.
Cockroach Poker,
Cockroach
of
Poker
course.
came out. We played a game,
Of
few games of that.
course.
I would also like to give a shout out to all the people who came for the very first time. Like my wife's boss brought her family, and she actually has a couple of kids who are on the spectrum. They have, they're part of the thing at where she works, and they had a great time. They were playing games like Joking Hazard. They actually played Calico, which is the rug one. They played that. They also played. I taught them how to play Cockroach Poker.
They did really well in the Crocodile tournament as well.
Yeah, they did very well in the Crocodile tournament, so they loved that. And I felt a little bit bad throughout because I feel like as the host, last year I played so many games with people, and this year I felt like I played barely anything with anyone. And everyone's like, but I just would walk around. I'd say we had 7 tables up. We had 2 in the front room, 1 in the living room, 1 smaller one for the kids in our center room, and 2 out the back. And every time I'd walk past, there was people at every single table, like for the entirety of the day. So we had those. So that was good as well.
It's not just you. I was there from 9 all the way to
You
the
were,
end.
you were the first one through the door, Blayke.
And I still feel like I played barely anything.
I know.
Maybe that's just me, but it's just it
But
went
that's-
wildly quick.
Yeah, that's right. The day goes so fast. I think I played, I don't know, 5 or 6 games, which in a day is actually pretty good, realistically speaking.
Yeah.
I also want to point
Whilst
out...
you're also taking care of your kids as well.
Well, that too. So, I had my 2 kids running around. You had your 2 kids. Well, 3 kids, actually. No,
just the 2.
The 2 of them were here. They were running around. But then we also catered the whole thing. So we did a hot dog bar, which was great because it was just literally come up, grab a couple of rolls with a couple of little hot dogs, make your own thing, walk away, which is great. And then for dinner, we had we just did pizza and
Oh, the soup. All right.
Soup.
Georgia,
We're changing the podcast.
I don't know if Georgia can hear me, but for the actual podcast, you owe me a recipe for that.
She's just sent it. She texted us before tonight.
I didn't get it.
Oh, really?
So-
You did?
No,
Check your messages. You did.
No, you don't have the recipe, but I haven't told you this, but both you and Matt have actually a little Tupperware container to
Success!
take home of the
she
sweet.
she sent the
Oh,
rest.
she actually sent
That's
it.
all-
She
that's
actually
all.
sent it.
So just to, and again, I appreciate this is a board game podcast, but to give you an idea on how good this soup was,
Yeah.
we came
It was
in
in the slow cooker, right? So she cooked this soup in a slow cooker.
we
right?
we came in.
Pressure
Matt,
cooker for
Matt
the United
did,
States.
initially started off. Matt took the absolute rookie move and got the small bowl. I went and got the biggest
You went
bowl
and
I
got the
could
big bowl.
find, filled it up. So this is amazing. We both rushed back.
Had
The
seconds.
pot was empty. So while I'm reaching for the bread, Matt has done, and I will say, he absolutely trumped me on this one. I was thinking it. He just did it though. Grabs the pot, grabs bread, and just proceeds to
outside.
take it outside. And so we sit there just
Scooping it
ladling out of the pot.
It was great.
It was fantastic.
But
So,
we
yeah.
picked that. We actually picked soup. It was great, right? We picked soup to serve because the idea that we also had was board game related, which is that granted, we bought pizza for the younger kids and whatnot, but the idea was to provide food that wouldn't grease your hands up too much. So you'd have bread rolls for the hot dog bar, which wouldn't grease your hands up. and then you'd have soup, which you'd use a spoon and the bread for, again, not greasing up most of the stuff. And like we can provide a pizza for the young kids, as I said, but like I'm not too worried about grease stains and whatnot. But like that was the perfect amount because like I think we all went for like 1 or 2 pieces of pizza, and then we all went, "What are we doing?" Like, that's literally like I said to Georgie, I had 2 pieces of pizza, and then went, "What am I doing? The soup." Like,
we all aged 10 years,
Yeah.
like
It was
between
so-
pizza, like,
but
nah,
again, it's
this is gonna come back
I
on
was,
us.
I was on my way to the pizza, believe me, and then I walked past the soup, took one whiff, and went, "No, just run this in."
we had 3 different ones. We had a Thai sweet potato, we had a split pea and ham soup, and then a chicken curry one as well. But we did that specifically because again, we was literally the middle of winter. It was the 15th of July, which is smack bang in the middle of winter, and so we're like, well, let's just do stuff that'll warm people up and keep them here. And it worked because we had dinner. You played Gancho and Clever, and then what did I said to Ralph and Damo? I said, can you please bring a copy of Blood on the Clocktower, because I think there will be people who want to play that, and we're going to play that as our night game.
That was the first question I asked when I rocked up. Did you bring Clocktower?
And the answer was yes.
Been hearing about this for a year and a half. I need to play it.
We decided to play a few games of Trouble Brewing. We played the first one. So Trouble Brewing.
I was too drunk by the time we started.
Yeah, we could tell.
Yeah.
Trouble Brewing is the beginner script, and all that just means is that it is the most beginner friendly. It's very similar, to all the werewolf sort of games that we would have played before. And if you've never played them, it just means that there's a demon. Every night the demon kills someone. He has a minion. That minion can help him out, or 2 different minions can help you out in different ways. And then all the villagers have different abilities. There are some characters called outsiders, and the outsiders are villagers, but their powers are designed to throw spanners in the works, and so you don't know whether or not you can trust them or not, right? So we played. It was funny. So we played the first game, and my best friend, my best mate Brad, he got given the demon. And literally on night 1, day 1, his wife sitting next to him, Amy, right, goes, I don't know, there's something about Brad that I just don't trust right now. I think he's the demon, and we all went,
Good enough for me.
I guess he's the demon.
And you know what?
No one else got any information.
And the thing is, though, that's my fault. So basically, Amy was, if I remember right, she was the empath, and essentially she got to pick 2. No, she wasn't. Sorry, she had
an ability that allowed her to see something.
Was it the?
She was the one who gets to check the board.
No,
that was
she
the
wasn't.
second
No,
game.
Not the spy. That's a minion.
Can't remember the name of the townsfolk, and it will come to me.
The
at some
soup
point.
merchant.
But essentially, she was the one. She gets to find out a little bit of information about the who's playing. And I pointed to Brad and I pointed to Hamish. I didn't know they were married. Okay,
Right.
Had I known they were married, I never would have pointed to Brad because I watched.
Because one of them is evil or like.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's happened is that she did the thing that I know my wife would have done to me playing the same game. Look straight at me, and go, "Are you the demon?" And then at which point I could have just lied, and she go, "No, you're lying," and that was it. And the vote went in, and the game was over. And then it was
And that
at
happened
point,
exactly what happened to
And
Brad.
Yeah.
boy, Brad was
He
pissed.
was pretty pissed. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And so that was a bit of a bad first impression because we also had a couple of people like Tom, Matt's brother, and his wife Maddie. They were very keen on playing this. Blayke, this was also your first introduction to the game.
Yep.
Hamish has played the game at the meetups, and so I've played it. Damo's obviously played it, and we had a few others. And so then we go into game 2, and I said, guys, all right, sorry about that. Like that was too quick. Let's play another one. Let's go again and see what happens. And so we play the game, and this one was a lot of fun. So I got killed on night 1, which was great, because a certain someone was the demon. My wife was the demon, and so she went, well, obviously, I'm going to kill Nee night 1, right? She goes,
Well, I mean, she'd literally just seen another married couple ruin the whole game on night 1.
The thing is that you guys didn't get to see the interaction at night because I was the storyteller for this one again. And every night, and this is not going to come out in audio because it was all done in silence.
Go to our YouTube channel if you want to
But
see it.
every single night, it would be Georgie going,
I don't know.
and then it's going,
Yeah.
It's reported to me.
except for the first night, at which point she just went and pointed straight to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill the husband. But then the second night she killed someone across the way. I think it was it you, Matt?
No, I was her minion.
It was Hamish.
Hamish,
She
yeah,
killed Hamish on the
Hamish.
second night. And so she came up, and the thing that was notable was that Tom came up to her and said, I think you're the demon. And she goes, no. Why would you think that? And she goes, well, because in the first game, she was a minion who had the option to stuff up other things. She goes, and she made mention, I'm going to be nice to Nee in this game. But that was last game, and this is a new game. And so Nee died first, so I think you just killed him. And then in the night number 2, I think that you didn't know who to kill, so you just pointed straight across the way to kill Amy, calling her out. And Georgie at the end of the game goes, that is exactly what happened. Right? And it was one of those moments where I think we got to night 3 or day 4, and someone said, well, Georgie, I think you're the spy. And we were about to cast the vote to put her on the block. And then Georgie does what Georgie does every time she gets, like, she is the demon or the spy in Spyfall. Every time she just clams up and goes, of course I'm the damn demon. Of course I'm the demon.
She just gives the whole game away.
She can't hold it. She just cannot hold it for the life of her.
By the way, for Bernie Glid, we're talking about blood on the clock tower. This is blood on the clock tower.
Hello, Picton Busways.
Game 3, I think the highlight for Game 3 was so Ralph took over storytelling.
Yep.
Apparently, I did a shit job.
No, you did a really good job. Actually, you did a pretty good job.
I have an ongoing gripe with Ralph. No, I'm just joking. So basically, Ralph and I, when I can make it to the events, we will swap just to make sure we also get a turn playing. The highlight for me was, so I was the librarian. The librarian's ability is you find out you get shown one of the outsiders that are in the game, but you don't know. But you get given 2 people, and one of those people are the outsider. The thing that made me laugh was that knowing how much Matt had drunk by this point, I got shown the drunk token. And then it points to Tom, and then he points to Matt, and I just went, I'm pretty sure this is Tom because it's too easy if it's Matt.
That last game. The last game was. The last game was
that's
really
why you were
interesting.
99%
Sure,
sure.
it was Tom, and it was like, I'm pretty sure, but let me just go and double check this.
The last game was good as well because we started that at about 11:15, right? So we finished this. The first game went really quick.
Yeah.
Then the second game went a bit longer, and I was like, we're pushing close to 11 now, guys. But I went, do you guys want to go one more? And everyone went, yeah, let's go one more. And I was really happy we did because we pushed this one all the way to the end. So in this game, I was the demon. I was the imp. Blayke, you were one of my minions, as was Ralph's cousin Anthony. And so there were some really key notable moments in this game, such as, Matt was completely tired and inebriated at this point, so he was being very quiet. And what happened was there was quite a lot of things that kind of went out there. So I remember my bluff was I was playing the empath, which was that my bluff was quite simply, Ralph pointed at Maddie and Amy and said that there was 0 evil there. So I go, well, you're definitely not the demon. So I went up to them and played the whole game of like, you're not the demons. That's how I know I'm the empath. And I remember doing that. I pulled Blayke over at one point and I said, I was like, okay, I know you're my minion. It's like, I just need you to know. It's like, what are you? And you said Scarlet Woman. I think you were, right? So the Scarlet Woman's ability is that if the demon dies when there are still 5 or more people around, so we were playing with 11 people, the imp immediately transfers to the Scarlet Woman and they become the imp. So we'd been playing like through 3 nights at this point, and Anthony goes real sus, right? And like, as a minion, I at one point I sacrificed him. I went, all right, guys, it's time to vote Anthony out. He is completely being too sus. It is no good keeping him in the game. Let's get him out. And we booted him out, right?
Although he did really well at bluffing Brad, who was next to him. Brad knew the role he was, 100%. You can only pull 1 token. Brad knew the role.
Yeah.
But Anthony, to the end of his grave, claimed that role. All the way to the end of the game, and Brad at the end of the game was like, I was starting to doubt myself.
I realized why he is such a good Briscola player, because I was like, this guy, he can bluff.
He can bluff.
And the thing is, he did that from the very first move of the game.
Yeah.
He said, I'm this one. He goes, no, you're not. Yeah, I am. And that was the whole game.
It was great. And so
What they were Sears or something, was it?
Yeah, something like
Seer?
that. The Seer or something
I
like that.
can't remember which one it was.
Anyway,
but
so the game keeps going at that point, and then at some point, after that point, I killed George, and then I immediately killed Matt, right? Because I killed Georgie not because of some sort of vendiction, as much as people, well, if that's the right word, but vendetta, vindiction. Is that the word I'm thinking of? Like,
No.
I don't know.
English.
I don't know.
We'll get there.
I don't know, but I because
Vin Diesel.
because at some point because the rest of the group had already said who they
Vineyard.
were. You know, the people had said who they were. Damo had sacrificed himself on the altar of being the librarian whose only power uses once. And so, you know, we'd done a few things at that point. Granted, yes, Damo, I was too overzealous to kill you. That was, that kind of gave it away. But, and so I killed George. She was like, what? And then I killed Matt the next night. Because what happened was, I remember going around speaking to people, and I was either Amy or Maddie, but someone just casually mentioned after talking to them, oh, I was like, yeah, that sounds right, because Matt's the Undertaker. Very offhandedly. And as soon as I heard that, I went, so the Undertaker's ability is anytime someone dies, you have the ability to see what role they were. And so that round was the round we killed Anthony, and I immediately in the night shot Matt and killed him because I'm like, he cannot know that Anthony was the minion. He cannot know. And so the Matt wakes up dead. He's super pissed.
Although it wouldn't have changed the game because I had no bloody clue what I was doing. Like, my strategy is to walk around going, who am I and what do I do? Yeah. And why is that good?
And then the very next night, Georgie finally caught on to the fact that I was being a bit sus, and she was like, wait a minute. He's
put it
being
together.
Too sus. He's the thing. So what they do is they go and they use the Slayer on me.
No, they use it on me.
Oh, they use the Slayer on you.
No. It was going to be on me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And we talked ourselves out of it.
Into shooting
you.
Right? It wouldn't have mattered because if you'd shot me, it would have transferred.
It would have transferred. Yeah, I know.
But anyway, you shot Blayke, missed, and then that night, so before they did that, they decided to execute me. And the Ralph played this masterfully, so I died. And then he goes, and everyone's like, yeah, we've got him. He's so the demon, right? Yeah, he's dead. And Ralph goes, and you kill Neeber. How do you want to die? And I go, cursing and screaming my enemies in vain. He goes, right, you do that. Everyone go to sleep. And everyone went, what? The game's over, right? We killed the demon. And they didn't realize then it came down to, transferred to Blayke. So then the next two rounds literally were me just going up to Maddie and just I was putting all of my sus on, it's going to be Maddie. So I'm just going to make people think that she's evil. And I kept saying this is my role. I'm the empath. This is all I am, right? We get to that final role. It came down to you, Maddie, and Amy. Yeah. And I thought we had it.
I thought we had it too. I had the choice. There were three people left: Tom, Maddie, and Amy. And Maddie and Amy were already at each other's throats. They were fighting. They were pointing the finger big time.
Honestly, I really don't want to ever be in Maddie's bad books. Honestly, she was not happy being called out, and
and I thought
no
because I was hanging around her because I just kept going to Maddie every day. I'd go over and speak to her.
And here I thought, I'll just take out Tom. He's the drunk. No one really. There's nothing really sus about that. And I'll let these two fight it out. And I'll just jump onto the consensus on the other side. And it worked out beautifully for about 2 minutes.
And then it was like a snap. They just went, wait a minute, Blayke's just really sus. Yeah, I think he's really sus. We're gonna vote Blayke. And you were sitting there going,
where did this come from?
What did I do? And we got it. So. And then so the townsfolk ended up winning that one, and and so that was 10-12. I think we finished up that game, and it was just a great day. It was, as I said, it was a great day. I really enjoyed it.
It always is a good day.
It was a good day. We had 61 people, as I said, come through the door, including all the newborns. We had 2 newborns and all the kids running through, about 6 or 7 different kids as well, running through the house, which was great. And we also had a lot of first time as well. For example, my brother-in-law's cousin, my sister-in-law's cousin, Sean, just rocked up. He was like, he's a big board gamer, and he's like, can I come? And Chris was like, hells yeah, I'll tell my brother. And I was like, yeah, come on. I know him, but I've never actually hung out with him. But this was an event where, he rocked up for the first time and was instantly welcome. We've had friends who literally we don't really see it through the year unless it's this game day. It's something about this board gaming really brings people together. They love it. They love coming and playing it, and this is the reason.
It's a good event.
Yeah. I think it's the variety of games that it's of all different levels, all different people, and it's just it's a really big draw.
Admittedly, you have to like crowds. If you don't like crowds, it's not the day for you.
Look, I will say,
but if you like having a mix of good people, it's a fantastic.
I definitely
day.
know she's not listening to the podcast, but I somehow convinced Hannah Hannah Hieronymus, she played her very first board game at GooberCon. She's come to 3 of them, has never played a game, and this year was the first game she played a game. She played Herd Mentality with Kate, and she was like, I played a game! And I went, good on you, mate. That's exactly that. What more can I ask?
Breaking that glass ceiling.
Exactly right, mate. Oh, with that, we're going to bring it to the end of tonight's podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us, episode 40. We did say last week that this would be our 1-year anniversary podcast, but we want to have all 5 of us here to do that. So we're going to keep delaying that until we have all 5.
Curse you, Ralph.
It won't be episode 41. Hopefully episode 42 will be the one that we can have our 1-year celebration. But until then, please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Go to the podcasting apps of your choice. Click there. Look at the timestamps. And the links in your descriptions. We'd love you to come and join us on Facebook, Discord, and all of our social medias.
Join us next week when we review chicken and noodle soup. On the Soup Gateway podcast.
Your entryway into the world of tabletops, fun times, and soup. And with that, see you later. Bye, guys.
Croutons, anyone? I'm sure there is some. What you said there's some in the